Blood Quantum was recently released on Shudder, and it is yet another zombie movie. But, in the last few years, I feel like this subgenre has gotten a serious boost with creativity from their filmmakers. There, there was a time, probably around the early 2010s, late 2000s, where the zombie subgenre had just felt completely played out. Like, everyone was rolling their eyes at literally anything zombie related because it was like, and I had made this joke years back about how I can tell you the plot and the pretty much the entire rundown of an entire zombie film from beginning to end, pretty much no matter which one it was. And that stuck pretty true to probably 90% of zombie films altogether. Like, it really just kind of had a formula to it. But in the last few years, I'm just really like impressed and happy with how many really cool, unique spins on the subgenre we've gotten, like The Cured or Ravenous, or It Stains the Sands Red, or the freaking Train to Busan, of course, and then even though I wasn't a huge of a fan of this movie, Cargo with Martin Freeman, and there's a bunch more. And I don't know, man. I just feel like they're really pushing the subgenre and trying new things with it. People are knowing that the subgenre is been overdone, and we get the same thing every time. So people are taking more risks. The Night Eats the World, I think is that movie, the name of that movie. There's a lot of really cool zombie flicks. And so Blood Quantum comes out, drops on Shudder kind of out of nowhere, and it is set on a Indian reservation, and it is about the indigenous inhabitants of this land. They're immune to the virus, and everyone else isn't. Now, I thought that was a cool premise. I think that the film, like, the tone of the movie is awesome. I love the tone of this flick. Also, I think the gore is on point. It is really violent at times, super gory, very practical. I love the gore in this. It feels like something like a Romero film or something in its gore. So I was really impressed with that, really, really happy with all of that. So overall, I did really enjoy the movie because of those aspects. Now, the acting, they hired some legit Native Americans, which was cool. And you can tell just by the cast names. Michael Gray Eyes, and somebody's last name is Tail Feathers, and then the next guy is Good Luck. And like, you go down the list and it's like, oh, you know these are native names. Michael Gray Eyes is actually from Fear the Walking Dead season 3, which I think is one of the best seasons of the entire Walking Dead franchise. I love that season. Like, Fear the Walking Dead is a show, of the 5 seasons that have come out, the rest are either okay or wasn't really big on them. But season 3 was like fantastic. I loved that season. And when they completely changed gears in season 4, like changed it up completely, brought in Morgan and everything, I was like, why? Like, please continue with that. That was awesome. I thought that was a fantastic season. I was way, way into it. So he's a star from there, as obviously that's a zombie thing. This is a zombie thing. Now, the acting in this is a little rocky. It's kind of up and down. It didn't really bother me, to be honest, but I'm not going to sit here and say it was good, because it's to varying degrees. I think some is better than others, no doubt about it. But that didn't hurt my likability towards the characters and whatnot. The story is fairly simplistic. Even though they play around with the idea of immunity within the zombie subgenre, which I think is a really cool thing to explore. because we've gotten films like that before where there's somebody who's immune to it. I think the girl with all the gifts, she's immune to it, right? And then of course The Cured has some immunities, and then there's a few other films. The whole idea, and there's a really cool opening scene with some fish that I was like, oh, whoa, that's fucking eerie. That's super creepy. And that set the tone for the film. And the rest of the film kind of stayed with that tone. It's very eerie. So I did dig that about the film. But I just felt like with the. I didn't feel like there was any real exploration of that premise. Like, we didn't really get too much into why these guys were immune, nor did it really impact the story all that much. Like, it did, but not a lot. Not to the point where it was really even necessary. But as I said, I like the idea of there being people immune to a bite and not becoming a zombie because of it. I think that's great. Like, I think that that should be a thing in most of these. That's my personal preference. I think it's just, there's certain people who can't be turned, and then there's most people can be turned, and I think there's places to go with that. And of course, with immunity comes a cure or a vaccine or something. It gives people hope. It gives the story time and purpose to progress into those things. So I just think there's interesting things to explore in that idea, since it's kind of rarer. Now it's becoming a little bit more of a thing. But it just didn't feel like it served much of a purpose here. Like, I felt like, now, what would I have wanted? I don't think I would have wanted it to be some native curse or something stupid like that. I don't even know why I would think that was stupid. Zombies are about as realistic or, possible as a native curse. So I don't know why both of those in the same thing would be dumb to me, but just wouldn't have fit this film. But I did like this. I think I'm a bigger fan of this than most, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people are very blah on this movie, or straight up just didn't like it. They thought the beginning started strong, but then the rest of the movie was shit. I don't know. I felt like it had a constant, like a constant tone throughout, and I felt like the gore was solid, and I felt like I really did like Michael Greyey's character here. Trailer. They had some interesting names in here, like Trailer and Lysol and Bumper. But yeah, I mean, overall, I was a fan. I thought this was a pretty cool zombie flick. The gore alone and the tone of the film alone were just enough for me to be like, fuck yeah, I had a good time. So there's also some lines in here that were what I would consider to be homages. I caught one from Pulp Fiction and from Rage Against the Machine song. There's probably more, but those were ones that were very obvious to me when they dropped them. But yeah, I'm curious. I'll look for Stone Horse, Lone Goman. There's another name. Holy shit. But yeah, I'm sure most of you have seen this by this point. I actually watched this like almost a week ago, but my kid was here for 10 straight days. She didn't want to go home, and she stayed with me. That's why I haven't been uploading at all during those days where I normally have away from the kids and I can upload. She stayed. She wouldn't leave. She freaked out. She had to stay. So those days got, I loved being with her, of course, but they were quote unquote taken from me to be able to do the channel. But so this one's not as fresh in my mind, but I did really like it. So I look forward to you guys' thoughts. Let me know. Adios.